zeldaB. Where did I come up with the name? The name
That was all you.
is from Zelda. My dog Zelda, and B's her middle name, but she won't tell us what that is. So that's how we came up with the name. So zeldaB started with when I thought about the site a couple years ago. I looked at Zelda, and she's such a great dog, and she's friendly, she's loyal, you can trust her. She takes care of, she always takes care of our other dogs. So it really made sense. Yeah, so, well, I started in technology in 1991. So the idea of a site where you can share and interact really goes back to the idea of a bulletin board system. And so I had a website in the 90s that I used, and I would put pictures on and whatnot. But as soon as the search engines became used so much and everybody relied on search engines, I found out that I couldn't really protect my content, because as soon as I put something up there, it was cached in a search engine forever. So I'd put up a picture by mistake, and 2 hours later I'd check on a search engine and they already had it because they're using the crawlers. And so I didn't really like that idea at all, because I couldn't protect my content, and I didn't feel that anything was private. And I also wanted a website that I could decide who had access to what. And to do all that in the late 90s was too much work and a lot of programming. It just took up too much time. So I just kind of abandoned the whole idea. And then I think it was about in 2002, 2003, I started thinking about the idea again. And because technology came about where you could control the content and decide who had access to what. And so rather than build it myself, because of all the time it would take, I started to look around to see if there was anything like this. And I found out about the social networking sites. But the social networking sites, while they had the general idea of you could have this place where you could share and interact and post pictures, but there was absolutely no privacy, and everybody else had access to what was posted, and then what was posted could end up on the internet, and so it didn't meet my needs. And then the deeper I looked at the social networking sites, they just weren't something that I believed in, or that I'd recommend, that I'd let my family use, or could recommend anyone. So we went to work on something that we really believe in.
For me personally,
I got it.
I've never really been into the social networking sites. I've never gotten why people would want to expose everything about their lives to everyone. But the one thing I have always wanted to do is be able to share things about me, about my friends, my family, with my friends and my family. But when I share something, that's something that I share is mine. When I post pictures that I take of my friends' dogs, those should always be my pictures. I should have complete control over what I do with those things. And there just aren't any sites on the internet right now that allow you to do that. The sites out there, when you put something up there, they own it. You have no control over it. They can do whatever they want with it. You can't delete things, you can't remove things. It's all about them and what they want. And another thing that I really cannot stand about the internet, and I know a lot of people make money with it, is advertising. I cannot stand advertising. Things popping up, windows popping up, flashy things going on. When I go to a website, I'm there for the content that I want to see. I don't want to see ads. I don't want to see flashy banners. And most of the sites out there nowadays, they all rely on advertising. They have stuff plastered all over them. And I just don't want that. That's not why I go online.
I think, go ahead. But I just think another thing too is the idea of data mining. It really bothers me that, and this is what I found out about the social networking sites, that they're constantly mining all your information, and you feel like you're being spied on. And I don't want that. When I post something on a website, I want to make sure it's mine, that I have complete control over it, that it's not going to be mined, that I'm not going to get emails or spam or advertising based upon something that I posted or that's some information I've made available about that to me.
Yeah. And the last biggest thing that really struck me about being so important about zeldaB is the parental controls we have. You know, I have 3 young kids, and right now, you know, when they get online, they go to Nick Jr. or, you know, pbskids.com. They don't really, you know, get into anything because my oldest daughter, she's only 6 years old. But when they start growing up, the internet is a very scary place. There are predators out there that are willing to exploit kids, to do all kinds of stuff out there. And anytime I've heard about those news stories online, I always think to myself, that'll never happen to me, that'll never happen to my kids. But just a couple months ago, a good friend of mine down in Denver, they had an experience with their 14-year-old boy, with Neil, and this person was sending them, claimed to be a little kid, and they were sending them these gift certificates to play these games online, and saying about how much they liked the person, they loved each other. And well, it turned out this was a 40-something-year-old woman in New York who was posing as this little kid. There's no validation of websites right now. Anyone can sign up for as many accounts as they want, say they are whoever they say they are, and there's just no security there. Well, with zeldaB, that's different. We've taken this idea of anyone can be whoever they say they are, and instead we've changed it where people are who they say they are. We validate that, we make sure that they really legitimately are that person, so that these situations of people going out and exploiting people, it just doesn't happen. It can't happen with us.
Yeah, that's right. And our parental controls and the way we validate people are important because, like Ammon said, you know, when I'm interacting with people on this website like this, I like to know that they are who they say they are, and I have kids too, and I wouldn't let my son join any one of the social networking sites today because of all the problems that exist. And we've built zeldaB with the idea that, as far as our parental controls, is that the parent gets to decide who their child plays with, but once the kid comes over to the house, then of course they should be able to play by themselves. And so we built it just like what happens in real life. You know, I want to know who my kids are playing with, but once they go in their room, I don't want to stand over them and spy on them. And that's exactly how our controls are built. So there's that aspect of it as well that's really important to it. We built it not only for something that we'd use, but we built personally, but that our families would use, and that I can absolutely tell all my friends that this is a great place, a great website. You know, I think that what a lot of kids don't understand on the internet is that when you post something, it becomes a digital tattoo. And so if you post a picture of yourself, maybe in a compromising situation or unflattering situation, that's now real and that's cached on the internet forever. And that won't happen on zeldaB because you're in complete control of your content, and the webs and the crawlers and the search engines don't have access to the inside of our site at all, period. Never will. And so there's that protection, and also that I think just a lot of people don't understand that these giant social networks are starting to become a real source for employers to do background checks and all that. So if you're posting pictures out partying one night, that may not be something that you want a prospective employer to know about, and that doesn't happen on zeldaB. And you know, the other thing too is that facial recognition will soon be server-based, and so right now iPhoto's got it so that you can click on a face and it figures out who that is, and it'll go through your photo album. Well, it won't be long before that same technology will be available on a server. So if you've got a picture of somebody and then 5 years from now that person, or a couple years from now, that person commits a crime, you're now forever linked to somebody who's done something wrong. And again, that's not going to happen on zeldaB because all the content is protected. We guarantee that it's protected. It can't be searched. It can't be cached. We're not spying on anybody. It's actually the internet. It's old school. Sometimes I like to think of it as old school internet, the internet that I fell in love with in 1990.
And one reason that I think younger kids, especially high school kids, college kids, will really take to zeldaB is the fact that we've designed it just like life works. You can group your friends into your circles. In real life, you may have, you may be in, say you're in band, so you have some friends that you're in from your band class. You may have some friends from your church that you go to. You may have some other friends that you hang out with on Friday nights. Well, currently, there's no way to distinguish between those different groups of people. Well, with zeldaB, you can do that. You can take your friends, group them together, and only let certain of these circles, your circles of friends, see certain things that you post online. So it really gives you a way to break up your online life exactly how your real life works.
I think another thing too is that we have gotten, I think a lot of people have gotten used to this idea or thinking that they need to constantly be connected. And really, the idea of zeldaB is not for people to come to the site and chew up all their time. We're not designing that like that at all. It's simply a place to share and interact. So when you need to post some pictures, and him and I go skiing or whatever, and if I want to post some pictures, I do it there. I let the other people in my group know that they're there, and I'm out of there. In fact, we actually, on our website, we like to say that the less time spent on zeldaB means more time for your life. I think to a certain degree, we build this with the idea of unplugging, whereas the other sites, they want you to just stay there all the time and make that the center of your life. And I don't see this isn't that way at all. It's simply a utility for when you need to share pictures, chat back and forth with friends, share videos, post files, share files. That's it. Really simple.
On zeldaB, you can do a lot of things that you just cannot do on any other social networking sites. The idea of our sharing files, of our file security, of grouping your friends together, of parental controls, of validating people, these are all things that no one else has. They're new ideas that reinvent social networking that no one else has thought of or come out with yet.
Hope you come. We've invested a lot of our own money into zeldaB, and like every other company out there, the economy has changed some things for us, and banks really aren't in the mood to lend right now, and so we need the money so that we can get the site out there. Where the money's not going to be used to fund for us personally at all. We just need the money will be used to finish up the programming and for bandwidth, and that's it. So the money, why do we need the money? So like every other company out there, the economy has changed, and we expected that we would be able to go to the bank to get the money that we needed to finish up the site. And right now, banks really aren't in the mood for lending. So we're raising the money so that we can finish up the programming and put the bandwidth in place to get the site out there. None of the money is going to be used for our salaries, anything like that. The money will only be used to finish up for some programming that we need to do and for the bandwidth costs. And then we'll be ready to go. I started the idea. When did we start zeldaB? It was 2007, right?
Yep, 2007.
So when we started zeldaB, we saw all this coming because it was really clear to us that the social networking sites it was really clear to us what was going to happen. And so we knew that if we started on this now, that the social networking sites, there'd be all these problems that would come to the front because it was really obvious they were coming, and people would start to be aware of the problems that exist on these sites. For instance, there's absolutely no privacy with these sites. If you read their privacy statement, there is no privacy there. You sign over all your content. And people are finally figuring out that when they join these sites, they don't have any privacy. And so it's just about every day now there's some kind of story on big websites, ABC or CNN, about the problems with privacy and everything. So now's a great time because people are finally aware of these problems that exist. 2 years ago, if we'd have put this out there, nobody would have got it because the issues of privacy and security weren't well known at all. And now all the big websites and newspapers and whatnot are generally, it seems like there's a story every day in the paper now about, or on the website, about some huge privacy gaffe. And so people are finally aware about this, and we think that now's the time, and the time is right, and we hope that people will take on to our concept and help us get to where we want to go, because really this is about, sure, we did this because we love it. We didn't really start this with the idea of cashing in. It's not like that at all. I don't really operate that way. And so I hope that people will see that our what we're about and that what our initiative is here, and they'll support us.
With a lot of things that happen in the technology world, something comes out, everyone jumps on it without really taking a step back and looking at what they're really getting into. And I think the exact same thing happened with social networking. When it first came out, everyone's jumping on it. Wow, look at, I can do this, I can do that, I can put this up here, without taking a step back and realizing exactly what they were doing.
Yep.
Now people are taking that time and looking and say, well, wait a minute, I don't want to have my content up here, have somebody else owning it, anyone looking at it. They're realizing that the things that they've been doing for the past few years weren't done the way that they should have been done. And so the timing is perfect for zeldaB to come out, because this is the time when people are realizing what's going on and realizing the flaws with social networking. And zeldaB addresses and fixes all the problems that exist with social networking today.
The number one concern is privacy and security. The fact that all you have to do is read their privacy statement 1 and their terms of use, and you don't have to be a lawyer to figure out that when you join these sites, you're really giving up all rights to your content, and people should be concerned about that. And then the other aspect is security. These websites have become a giant magnet for malware, viruses, scams, and that people should really be aware of that. And we think that's not going to happen on zeldaB. zeldaB is going to be a smaller type of site. So when you're interacting with friends, it's friends that you know they are who they say they are, and the issues that you face when faced with other networking sites you're not going to be faced with here, because of the things we do behind the scenes and what we do to validate users. And then the whole user experience here is very, you'll feel like you'll feel like we're right next door with you, because you'll be able to talk to us on the phone, and it'll be a very intimate experience. So I think that along with I hear of people that their accounts have been hacked into, and they've been sent some viruses or whatnot. You know, that's not going to happen on our site. We don't think it's going to be, because of how we're positioning it. It won't be really popular with the bad guys, because the bad guys won't be able to get in. So I think another reason why that people are really going to take to zeldaB is because zeldaB is just like living in a small town where we are right here. And we chose to live here because we value privacy, and we value knowing who our neighbors are and the people in town, and we like small town living. And whereas some of the other social networking sites it's like living in a big city, and not that living in a big city is wrong, but what we have just tried to we've taken our life as how we live it here and applied that to zeldaB, and we think other people will enjoy that too. The idea that you know who your friends are, that you know who you're communicating with. You can be on the internet and leave your front door open, just like, and you know, when we leave and go to town, we don't really have to worry about locking our doors so much. And I think that same kind of feeling is going to exist on zeldaB because of everything that we're doing and how we've designed it, and what our initiative is. So one thing that I think is really appealing about zeldaB, and that we think other people like, is that we've built zeldaB with just like how we live. You know, we live out here where there's privacy, and we live in a small town, so we know who our friends are, we know who our neighbors are. And when we leave the house, we don't have to worry about locking our doors. And when you're on zeldaB, you're not going to have to worry about locking your doors, and you'll know who your friends are, and you'll feel like you're in a small town, and you'll feel like you're where we are right now in such a beautiful place.
zeldaB is very similar to the small community that we live up here in the mountains. It's an area where you can go into the grocery store and you know about more than half the people there. You can say hi to them. They're all your friends. It's a place where we don't have to lock our doors. When I go into the store, oops.
That's all right.
When I go into the store, I don't even worry about locking my car. I don't need to worry about those things because I know the people around me. zeldaB is the exact same thing. It's a place where you know who's around you. You don't need to worry about somebody barging in, breaking in, doing something bad to you, because you know everyone that's there. It's a very private, personal community, but at the same time, it's a place where you know everyone and you can share things with people.
Yeah.
But, you know, we're not keeping them from anything.
No.
Okay, who are these guys?
Okay, so this is Zelda. This is zeldaB, and she's 8.5.
Baby.
zeldaB, and she takes care of everybody. She watches over everything. She always has. We've always had bull mastiffs, and when we had we've had two others that have gone on to doggy heaven, and Zelda just watches over them, and she trains them, and the dogs always end up following her. So if Zelda runs, Humphrey runs. Oh, and this is Humphrey, and Humphrey's just 7 months, and Humphrey does exactly what Zelda does, and he looks to her for just about everything. So zelda's the boss. zeldaB, come on.
This. I always carry this. This is part
Doggy.
of it.
Come on.
It's like I try to mess my beef.
Perfect.
Perfect.
You go right up to the lens and sniff it.
There's control. All of these things I think are positive about it.
zeldaB. zeldaB.
Foot in front of
Right.
the other.
I can do that. Come on, doggies.
We're not going to use the sound from this. Act like you're chatting next to her.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know that, right? Who let the dogs out? Who?
I'm not much into rap music.
Please, that for soundbite.
That was good. You guys.
Howdy everybody, my name's Paul Koulis,
And I'm Ammon Manning.
and we created zeldaB. So just in a couple minutes here, we're going to take you up about a mile from our office here. We're going to talk about zeldaB, why we built it, why we think it's great, and why we think you'll think it's great. So hang on, and we'll be right there. zeldaB is fun, it's secure, it's safe, it's private, it's big and open. It's great.
Yeah, zeldaB, it's fun, it's safe, and it's secure.
So we know that you'll love zeldaB because all of our friends love it. We love it. It's free. There's not going to be any advertising. It's safe. It's private. It's beautiful, just like where we are right now. So we know you'll love zeldaB because our friends and families, they love it. They think it's a great idea. they can't wait for it to get online. So please help us get there.
Please give us your money.
So zeldaB is it's safe, it's fun, it's beautiful, just like we are right now. We know you'll love it because all of our friends and families love it. So please help us get there. Thanks a lot, man. We really appreciate it.
We absolutely love the idea of zeldaB. Our friends and our family have shown it too. They love it too. So we just need your help getting there.